Welcome to the Fast Mode Studios. I'm Ariana Lynn, Principal Analyst at the Fast Mode. With us today, we have Dawid Kuchta, Founder and CEO of Microamp Solutions. Microamp, a leading 5G and 6G mmWave technology provider, will be exhibiting at TM Forum's upcoming DTW23 Ignite under the event's Next 20 Startup program. The EU-based deep tech company has been named one of the 10 most promising Polish startups by EU Startups. Good afternoon, Dawid.
Good afternoon. Hi, Arina. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so tell us more about your participation in DTW's Next 20. What technologies do you plan on presenting to the jury?
Yeah, so we are happy to participate in this event when the whole industry gather together, when the people discuss about the future connectivity and looking for the new innovations that can be introduced to the telco market. And happy to present in front of jury Microamp 5G mmWave, which provides high-performance mmWave connectivity for robust, secure streaming of massive volume of data in real time. So we will be presenting in front of jury that we are able to deliver the simple, reliable 5G mmWave private networks that can allows end customers to upload massive amount of data that can allows and impact many bandwidth-hungry use cases that we may have, like live video analytics, real-time data analytics, AI, VR, and metaverse.
That sounds very exciting. Talking about mmWave, we noticed that it is quickly becoming the go-to technology for private networks. What are some of the factors pushing this? When compared to spectrum bands such as sub-6 GHz 5G or 4G LTE, what advantages does mmWave offer?
Yeah, so you're right. So this technology is the key factor and driver for this technology and for the whole millimeter waves is the applications, is the use cases. The use cases that can justify both CapEx and OpEx, the whole economics of deploying 5G private networks. And deploying millimeter waves for industrial plants, for enterprises especially, because let me start from this side, you can distinguish that this technology provides the huge potential to digitalize the most sophisticated processes for the industrial plants, for the enterprises, by enabling bandwidth-hungry application. And this is the fact that distinguishes millimeter wave, because this technology allows you, for example, to uplink massive of data from the cameras. We have, and we live in times when at the moment it's very straightforward to launch AI engine for video analytics. But now it is a problem how to take the data from many cameras to create digital twins models based on 10K infrared cameras. It's a key factor, for example, for oil and gas industrial plants. And now we have millimeter wave technology with a very, very wide bandwidth. Our system can reach 1 gigahertz of spectrum. It allows to stream in one channel a massive of data in uplink. Then imagine you have AI that in the real time it processes this data and analyze this data, and it can give a boost in terms of the productivity efficiency of the processes. It can give the boost how to decrease the costs of the processes, and of course what is most important, how to achieve climate neutrality factor for the enterprises. So the application is the key factor, and the second thing, it's real-time streaming. Now for many systems, when we are about to base operations from industrial plants to private networks, we need to have real-time data streaming from the cameras. And this is where millimeter wave wins, especially if we create a proper system based on millimeter waves. So this technology in this area can win over sub-6 and LTE, and I'm sure that this will be the key technology for mobile networks in the next 10 to 15 years.
Interesting. If we could just delve deeper into a specific use case, how does mmWave support the connectivity requirements of Industry 4.0? What other use cases are there?
Yeah, so looking at the mobile networks, mostly the systems were downlink heavy systems. When the end users was like regular citizens, people with the mobile phones, we were downloading a lot of data. And now in the Industry 4.0, mostly the game is about analyzing the data. We need to analyze a lot of data. And sensors is one thing, but the other thing is video, cameras. So this is the core use case for industry that millimeter waves enables for uplink a lot of data. And microamp 5G millimeter wave is the uplink heavy system, is the uplink heavy networks that we can send a lot of data to the networks to analyze. It's crucial because you can imagine the bodyguards or other people with the on-body cameras that with high resolution on-body cameras, and the data are streaming to the networks, and you have live video analytics, you know everything, what's going on for your industrial plants. And the second thing that might maybe not exactly millimeter waves, but how we build the systems based on millimeter waves gives us is the hotspot infrastructure. In some places, we need to deploy the infrastructure in very, very simple way. So that the industry, because no one wants to be mobile network operators, except of course mobile network operators that they are. So millimeter wave is adjusted to cover relatively small areas, like 1 square kilometers or 2 square kilometers, something like this is the perfect area for millimeter waves. And if we properly build the system based on millimeter wave that works as autonomous networks, this gives a lot of advantage to the industry and meets the requirements for Industry 4.0. Because it was said 10 years ago that every factory, every industrial plant needs to have deployed 5G millimeter wave, 5G private networks. But what happened now? The cost, the operational cost of such networks is quite high and do not meet the economics for such deployments. And the other factor was performance, that we have downlink heavy networks. In millimeter waves, the way how we build the system, how the whole millimeter wave ecosystem approach to the industrial plants gives completely different view, completely different mindset on building such networks, and allows to offer really excellent economics for high performance systems. So we can build relatively hotspot networks at relatively low costs.
Brilliant. Now shifting the focus to microamp, how does your plug-and-play approach accelerate private network deployments and deliver enhanced flexibility for enterprises? What are some of the key components that make up your 5G mmWave private network solution suite?
Yeah, so we try to creating the product among microamp company. We try to look from the two different views. First of all, we look from the problems that end users and customers may have, like industrial plants, enterprises, factories, sports venues, and other verticals. And on the other hand, we look what problems their industry is facing. And if you combine this, you will get the results that the main problem is operational costs of the private networks of the system. Maintenance, service, upgrade, and all of this stuff. That's why we created 5G mmWave starter kit. The small autonomous networks that can cover from 40 to 60 hectares, depends on the option you can choose. We sell it as a pack, as autonomous networks. It's very easy to launch, to deploy for system integrators. We created the special training for system integrators, and we offer end-to-end solution on top of this. So we are providing the customers also end users models, so they can integrate the cameras, the autonomous vehicles, and all of this stuff. So we make the run plug and play, which is quite unique at the moment on the market, because imagine you are a customers from the Australia, we are based in Poland and US. We can send it to the local system integrator, and after 48 hours you can have system deployed, where mostly the time consumes by shipment, but the deployment it's like 1 hour. It's a plug and play approach in terms of the system. So the industrial plant cannot and is not forced to deploy the network over the whole area. They are building the starter kit, they are paying attention on the use case, what value this brings to them, this how they calculate the economics. And if they decide that they will work, they can grow it with us because the system is scalable. So in this 5G mmWave starter kit provided by Microamp, we enabling every industrial plant, every factory, and every enterprise to deploy 5G mmWave connectivity, high performance connectivity in very easy, simple way.
Great. So on to the last question. Microamp's CellBox Air, as you mentioned earlier, was successfully tested at the ORAN Global Plug Fest Fall last year, being the first commercially available 5G mmWave ORU in Split 7.2. Can you elaborate on the solution and who stands to benefit from it?
Yeah, so I remember like 15 years ago when I was working as an RF engineer. So where the RF side was like from the semiconductor point of view, from the antennas arrays, from the processing of massive volumes of data for the radio unit. So that time it was impossible to create the system that will work for 28 gigahertz spectrum or 29 gigahertz spectrum because of the costs, because of the bill of materials was too high, so that it was impossible to build such radio and offer them to mobile network operators. But something changed, something's broken down last 5 to 7 years. The industry completely changed. And looking for our innovations, we need to look at from the perspective of the whole ecosystem. First, the semiconductor ecosystem changes. The semiconductor companies build the chips that allows us to create antennas at relatively low cost antennas. From the other side, we have processors, FPGA systems, and MMIC design techniques that we are able to design chips and program appropriately FPGAs that can handle with massive of data on the radios. And it allows us to build the basics radio at relatively low cost that meet all the economical requirements from the industry. And it was still a problem. The problem was the range of millimeter wave, that it was too low range. The range of too low, that's why we spent many years working on the antennas to increase the power, increase the range, increase the sensitivity of the antennas to deploy properly beamforming. So one side is the antenna, how we can cover, how we can reach 350 meters and ensure 2 gigabits per second per end device. And the other thing is data processing, how we process the data, what methods we are using there. So it's the combination of hardware and software, is the combination here of RF design, proper RF design, and the proper digital signal processing. And yeah, it led us to the first millimeter wave radio unit in 7.2 splits that allows to build millimeter wave infrastructure at relatively low costs. That you put low cost radio unit, small cells over the city centers and then connect it to the servers, and you do not need a lot of servers here, so you go down with the cost of the infrastructure. And yeah, and it has impact not only for the end users but for the whole industry, because the mobile network operators can use it, and we have very good discussions with a lot of very innovative mobile network operators that want to build millimeter wave infrastructure based on our radios and offer really amazing use cases for the citizens, for the enterprises, in shopping mall, in sports venues, in concerts. So yeah, it has impact for the whole industry, and I'm really happy that I will be able to present our solution in front of the jury of this event.
Excellent. Okay, so that wraps up our session for today. Thank you, Dawid, for joining us, and I hope you have a great time in Copenhagen later this month. For everyone tuning in, you can meet Dawid and the team behind Microamp at stand number 2 at DTW23's Next 20, or learn more at microamp-solutions.com. And don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to the Fast Mode.